Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 1813 of What's Shift to Now, documenting the journey as I transitioned originally from the brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business. And now just pretty much all business related topics, both online and offline, because for a long time I believed, even though I wasn't doing it, that every business should have an online presence. You know, my businesses and my career, my corporate career, as well as my business ownership happened as the internet was happening. I know I'm that old, but in the beginning, us nerdy engineers thought, okay, the internet's awesome, but it's just awesome for us. And then, of course, it expanded and marketers got their hands on it and everybody got their hands on it. And, you know, there's the dark web and all these crazy things, I guess, that exist, but I've never been on, that use the internet for all kinds of things, but a lot of business and a lot of information, etc. And now we've got AI and the metaverse and all these crazy things coming out, and it will continue to expand and grow. And as you know, as our human imaginations expand and grow. Well, today we're talking about in the annual challenge. This year's annual challenge is the Get Your Goals annual challenge. And every day we're working on something that has to do with goals, goal setting, goal accomplishment, tools and tips and strategies, what works, what doesn't. We're trying them on and we're practicing them. So today we started talking about goal frameworks. Now, a framework is just a fancy way of saying how we do things. It's the process we use, usually step by step, or it's an acronym. Like today we're talking about SMART, SMARTER, and SMIRT goals that reminds us of the things. You know, hopefully we all learned those in grade school and high school and college. You know, Roy G. Biv is probably the most famous one to remember the colors of the rainbow. And our brains love associations, and we do that a lot. And so some of these frameworks are just acronyms for processes or things to remember when you're setting goals. Others are actual step-by-step frameworks of how do you set goals and then how do you go about achieving them, because there's no point in setting goals if we're not going to achieve them. So to coincide with that, our Supersize Your Business idiom for today, a business idiom, it's not really a business idiom, it's sort of a goals idiom, was put your shoulder to the wheel. And I used Alexa because I don't have a wheel handy, so I used Alexa to be my wheel. And we need to, and what this idiom or expression actually means is that we need to be self-starters, we need to be self-solvers, we need to attempt to solve our problems ourselves before we go out expecting the world or other people to solve them for us. Now, I've interacted over my many years here on the planet with a lot of people that, especially more now, that seem to feel entitled to the world owing them a living. The world owes me a living, therefore I really shouldn't have to work or put any effort into it. And that's what's important about today's idiom. It's a reminder. It dates all the way back to 550, is it BC? Let me take a peek at my notes. 550 BC, before Christ. That's a long, long time ago, when Aesop tells the fable about Hercules. And, you know, Hercules was out doing his strong, godlike, magical things. And a man got his wagon stuck in the mud and stuck in the ruts on the road, because roads weren't really very good back then. And his wheel was stuck in the mud. And instead of trying to figure out how to get out of the mud himself, or be creative, or do any type of problem solving, he just called on Hercules to come and save him, right? Save the day. And Hercules is like berating him and saying, hey, did you even try to get out of this mud by yourself? Because it's not that big a problem. And how many of us come across people that are complaining and bitching and moaning about a situation, but they're not actually doing anything about it? They're so mired in complaining about the problem that they're not focusing on the solution. So we talked about the importance of focusing on the solution, being an example, you know, doing what, I didn't talk about doing what you say you're going to do, but that's a really good one too, about being an example. But that it's okay to ask for help and ask questions. It's very important, but don't ask for help and ask for questions if you have not done anything to try to get an answer yourself, right? If you have not at least Googled the thing you've got a problem with, I mean, anybody can do that, and maybe you won't get an answer. I Google a lot of stuff, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And now I ask ChatGPT just for the fun of it, and that doesn't make any sense. Well, then I might reach out after I've tried a few more things and ask someone that I know has had experience with this thing. But I'm certainly never going to ask anybody that's had experience with something that I'm struggling with and has overcome it a question if I haven't tried a whole bunch of things to solve that situation myself. Why? Because that's called being personally responsible and creating our own life. Anyway, that's just me. A lot of people don't have a problem just asking and for everything that they want, and then just being pissed off because they get no's more often than not. I don't know. Anyway, that's our topics for today. We're going to be talking about different types of goal frameworks over the next handful of days, actually dozen plus days, because I found a bunch of goal frameworks. I want to share them all and let everybody, including me, pick and choose what works best for us when it comes to moving forward in this year's goals, goal getting annual challenge. All right, any questions, ask, but make sure you Google it first, please. Otherwise, I'm not really that hard on people when I talk to them in person, just when I'm like frustrated by getting a lot of silly questions. You know, it's mind-boggling to me that people aren't curious enough to want to ask questions about things, but find out a little bit about it so you can ask a question that is worth the person's time that you're asking, if that makes sense. All right, have a great day. I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.